All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV, More Than Meets the Third Eye. I'm your host, QueenAMADAI-Shakur, and this is your spiritual vitamins. Okay, so as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay? Don't forget that we have memberships available. So if you haven't become a member, you might want to look into it. Okay, so let's get into it. Shelby, Terry Hinton, We the People, Alex, Kathy B. All right, Kimberly is here, Hundia. Shout out to my moderators putting in work. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now today, going to be talking about 9 phrases that you should absolutely under no circumstances say when you're involved in a heated argument with your partner. Okay, with your mate. All right, that's what you shouldn't do. Certain things you shouldn't say. Because we all know that sometimes you say things just pop out. And, hey, Nessie X, okay, you're driving, beloved. Sometimes we get in a heated argument and we say things that we absolutely don't mean. Okay, most of the things that people say out of anger during an argument doesn't even really reflect their true feelings anyway. You're just saying it because you're mad, because you're having a war of words, and you want to get your points across. And sometimes we want to belittle the other person. We want to guilt trip the other person, or we just want to be mean, and sometimes we hit below the belt. These are all things we shouldn't do, okay? Because when you're having an argument, the basic thing that we should be doing is trying to get our point across and trying to also have empathy with the person that we're arguing with. Now, I know that's all hard to do, but you should try. Okay, so let's talk about it. 9 phrases not to say. Because, navigating the turbulent waters of a relationship isn't always easy. Okay? It's not always easy. But pay attention, because communication and comprehension and being open and honest, those are the building blocks of a successful relationship. Okay? That's the bedrock of a healthy partnership. Okay? Please pay attention. And some people say that communication is key. Well, that's part of it, but also more importantly, or just as importantly as communication, is comprehension. Because if you're communicating with someone and they're not comprehending what you're saying, then what's that going to do? Okay? They're going to still have questions. That can still lead to false narratives or just people taking things the wrong way and all of that. Sometimes we need to choose our words carefully. Nessa G says, I've learned to be silent until I calm down. Absolutely. That's the best thing to do. You should count to 10. Have a woo-saw moment. You need to breathe in and then exhale. Okay, sometimes we need to calm down before we say things. Because when you don't put your emotions in check and you let the emotions just take over, that's when you're likely to say things you really shouldn't say and that you really don't mean. We have to be mindful of our language during these tense moments. Okay, because this helps foster the understanding and the empathy that we need. Okay, so let's get into it. First things first. You should never say, you're just like your parents. You're just like your mother. You're just like your father. And you shouldn't even say this to your kids either, because some people get mad at their kids and say, oh, you're just like your no good daddy. Well, you shouldn't say those things to your kids or your partner in a relationship, because basically you're drawing parallels to your partner and their parents during this argument. Well, that can be a damaging blow, because now you've dragged the parents into it. Now you're not only slighting them or throwing shots at them, but you're also throwing shots at their parents. Because you're not saying that to be positive when you say, oh, you're just like your mom, you're just like your dad. You're not saying that to be positive. You're being negative. And so now you're saying something about the parents who more than likely don't even have anything to do with the argument. Okay, basically telling them how you really feel. Okay, that phrase is always meant in an argument to be used as a weapon to cause hurt. Okay, or to talk about negative patterns of behavior within the family. Like, oh, you got that from your father. And those type of things. And not only does the statement undermine the individuality and the personal development of your partner, but it also drags, like I said, drags the family into it. And now, if they go back and tell the family what you said, now there's a problem. And speaking of telling the family what a person says, that's another thing people shouldn't do in relationships. In relationships, when you and your partner have problems, you should keep those things to yourself. What you should not be doing is going and telling your friends about it, going and telling your family about it, because then 9 times out of 10, you'll end up making up with the person, so you're still going to be with them, but now you've said all of these bad things. Every time you've gotten into an argument, you've run and told your friends about them, or you've run and told your family, and now they're all looking at the person with a whole side eye, and now you're wondering why they don't like this person. Well, maybe it's all the negative things you said about them. And that's what people tend to do when they're angry. Because when people are angry, what do they want to do? They want to vent. Some people want to vent when they're angry. And who do we often vent to? Usually the people that are closest to us. So that would include, if we're arguing with the partner, it's not going to be them. But if we're mad about something else, it'll usually be the partner. But if you're arguing with that person, well, you're going to usually vent to your friends or someone in the family. Okay? So that all being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And here's another thing. When you start dragging people's family into it, okay, saying negative things about the mother and father specifically, well, that can cause things to definitely escalate. The emotions can escalate, and then that causes unnecessary tension, okay? That can make the situation, of course, worse. And so rather than hitting with low blows, try to focus on, the specific behavior that led to the argument in the first place. Are you mad because they cheated? Are you mad because you caught them in a lie? Are you mad because they're not keeping up their end of the bargain as far as pertaining to the household things, like the bills or whatever? Whatever it is, try to focus on that. I will try next time with the next one, but my ex became a demon. Says, oh, hell no. Yeah, sometimes people do. They don't really become demons. They may already have been a demon, and maybe they were just hiding it. Maybe they did become one because things were going on, But at the end of the day, always in an argument, try to focus on what started the argument. Don't go digging up past things or whatever. Because here's the thing. What are you bringing up the past for? But that's what we often do. When we get mad at someone and we're arguing with them, especially our partners, we'll talk to them crazy. We bring up stuff they did in the past. That's what you shouldn't do. Because if you're still with somebody, whatever they did in the past, you clearly supposedly forgave them for it. So one of the things as it pertains to forgiving people for things is you don't continuously bring it back up. Okay? That's a negative pattern of behavior. That's a negative pattern of behavior. Okay? Sharon said she just got a dog. Okay? Now, moving right along to the next point. And that is when you say, I wish I never met you. Now, how many people get mad and tell somebody that, oh, I wish I never met you? Now, you're lying 9 times out of 10. And when you say that, what you're really doing is discrediting all of the good times, the good memories and happiness that you share. Because you wish you never met them. They didn't make you happy ever. You never had any love for them. See, now you're discounting all of that when you say certain things. So this phrase is often blurted out at a moment when you're just trying to be destructive, okay? And that's something you should never say. It undermines the entire foundation of your relationship and implies regret, okay? And so not a good thing to say. And, a lot of times when people are arguing and the things they say is nothing more than manifestations of their own fears and insecurities too. All right, that's another thing, especially if you have someone that's always accusing you of cheating or doing something or not being honest 100%, and they don't have any real reason to be saying or suggesting this. Maybe it's because they don't trust themselves. Maybe it's because they know that they tell lies and they're not honest. Okay, those are some red flags you should look for. People who are always accusing you of things without having any foundation for doing so. Now, if you're staying out 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and coming home, and, you weren't answering your phone while you were out, well, that will make people's minds wonder. So I would say that was unfounded. But I'm saying, if you've not been doing anything that should give them any type of inkling or reason to suspect that you're doing something, outside of the relationship, but they're always accusing you, you might want to look into them. Because when people are very accusatory for no reason, that's usually because they don't trust themselves, like I said. Usually because they're out there doing something they shouldn't be doing. Okay, so instead of expressing regret for the relationship itself, try to communicate. Because a lot of times, like I said, when you tell somebody you wish you never met them, you're really discounting everything, okay? But try to communicate your feelings about the situation or the behavior that led to the argument in the first place. And it's okay that you're upset or hurt, but it's not okay to undermine the entire relationship simply because of a temporary agreement. Okay? Now, Brene Brown is a renowned research professor at the University of Houston. And what she says is what we don't need in the midst of struggle is shame for being a human. Okay? For being a human. Because basically, what you have to realize is that the person you're arguing with, they're a human being just like you, and none of us are perfect. And yes, they have done things to tick you off, and maybe something they did is what led to the argument in the first place. But let's not forget that we all do things. And sometimes when there's an argument, you're the cause of it. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. Another thing that you should not say, the third thing is, if you loved me, you would, etc. Okay, because now what you're doing is trying to guilt the person into doing something that they may not want to do. Okay, that's what we talked about when I did the video about emotional blackmail. Okay, that's basically the same thing. This is more so emotional manipulation, but it's very similar to emotional blackmail. If you missed that video, go check that one out, okay, because it was really good. So, and emotional blackmail and emotional manipulation both can be harmful. Okay, it implies that your partner's love for you is conditional on them doing or not doing certain things. Okay, this places an unfair burden on them and can lead to feelings of guilt and inadequacy. All right, love should never be used as a bargaining chip. Okay, so when people tell you, oh, well, if you really loved me, you would do this. No, now they're trying to give you an ultimatum, or you're trying to give the person one if you say it to them. Okay, it's important to communicate your needs and desires in a relationship. Of course, we should always be open and honest about those things, but not at the expense of your partner's emotional well-being. And this usually is what selfish, self-centered people tend to do. These selfish people always want everything to revolve around them, and they'll go out of their way to get what they want, and that includes being manipulative and dishonest, okay? So instead, express your feelings and requests without trying to, base it on whether or not the partner loves you or not. Learning to communicate effectively in relationships is an ongoing journey, one that we have to navigate as best we can. And we have to be able to communicate, all right, in a way that our partners comprehend what we're saying. And we should be insightful, okay? And then the next thing is you always or you never. That's the fourth thing. Okay? Because what we want to do here is we want to make sure that we have the insight to help us have more healthy communication patterns in our relationships. Okay? That's the purpose of this. So we have better communication patterns in our relationships. Because like I said, sometimes you say things and you can't take it back. All right? Desmond says he's guilty of that. Okay. Now, you always do this or you never do that. These blanket statements wield a dangerous power in relationships, painting an oversimplified picture of your partner's behavior while completely disregarding any strides that they may have made towards changes or growth. Okay, because now you're not giving them credit for the areas that they've improved upon. Now, they have the potential to render your partner invisible, that their efforts are going unnoticed, and that their worth is not appreciated. Rather than resorting to these condemning words, like you always do this or you never do that, try to opt for something more constructive, a more constructive approach. Okay, you don't have to say you never do this or you always do that. You can tell them in a different way, such as, hey, maybe we should try to do it this way. Because we've been doing it like this for quite some time. So let's just try it this way. Let's try something different. Maybe you can say it to them like that rather than say, oh, you always do this, okay? So share some specific actions that impact you emotionally. For instance, instead of accusing with, you never listen to me, articulate the feeling by saying, I feel unheard when you're engrossed in your phone conversations, or, I feel like you're really not paying attention to what I'm saying when you're on the phone talking, or if you're sending a text while we're having a discussion, kind of seems like you're not all here. Like, are you really listening to what I'm saying? Because I don't want you to just listen, but I want you to comprehend. So you can say that, okay? You can say things a whole lot more polite than we normally do when we're arguing. Okay, because that shift not only, fosters understanding, but it opens up dialogue. Okay, productive dialogue. All right, because we don't want to just be always negative. And I know you're probably saying, okay, that's easier said than done, because when you're arguing, you want to get your point across and go in on the person. Listen, at the end of the day, if it's somebody you care about, what you shouldn't want to do is say something that you can't take back, or say something so hateful, or something that's such a low blow that even if you apologize, they're still going to be feeling some type of way. Okay, that's what you don't want to do. Another thing, and the fifth thing is, why can't you be more like, etc.? Now, comparing your partner to someone else, well, that's never good. Okay, that's like taking a sledgehammer to their individuality, okay, or like you're just trying to dampen their self-esteem. It screams dissatisfaction with who they are, and it can also stir up a cauldron of inadequacy and resentment even, okay? And so whether it's in a professional or personal life, yeah, you don't want to say things like that, because they can make a person feel like you don't value them, like you don't respect them, and like, whatever they think or feel is just not important. Okay, so when you start sizing a person up and then pitting them against others or comparing them to others, you're basically throwing, certain principles out the window. Like, what does this person mean to you? Do you have respect for them? Do you value what they have to say? Do you care what they think? Because when you say certain things like that, it seems like you don't. Okay? So instead of wishing your partner was a clone of someone else, why not celebrate their unique strengths, okay, and even their flaws? If there's something about another person that catches your eye, why not chat about it with your partner without making them feel like they're not measuring up, okay? And the sixth thing is, I'm fine. Now, when someone asks you what's wrong, sometimes after there's a conflict or whatever, some people just say, oh, everything's fine, and you know that it isn't. So this phrase may seem harmless or even helpful in avoiding conflicts. It's often a mask for unresolved feelings or issues. And what happens with unresolved feelings or issues? Well, they sooner than later come back up to the surface. Okay, so just saying I'm fine when you're not, it basically shuts down communications and prevents you and your partner from addressing the root cause of the issue. And if you don't address the root cause of an issue, how are you solving the problem? You're not. All you're doing is just putting a Band-Aid on an open wound, and that's not going to heal it. Okay, one of the guiding principles is to be transformative, okay? The transformative power of self-awareness. And that's how you obtain personal growth, all right? So that involves being honest with ourselves and with our partners about our feelings. Like, don't keep things inside. Don't say, you know what, I don't want to talk about this because it's going to cause more conflict, so I'm just going to keep it to myself. Because what happens when you keep things to yourself is they start to fester. And the more they start to fester, they start to worry you, stress you out, and you have like this feeling of, not knowing, and you just feel dissatisfied, like you don't have closure, and so it's just something looming in the back of your mind. So it's very important that you talk about things that are bothering you, but do it in such a way so that you foster, a resolution, so that it brings you to a resolution, so that you all can understand where the problems lie, and that you're not putting the blame fully on the partner for certain things, because sometimes we're the problem too. Okay, so take accountability, but also make sure your partner is taking accountability. And if you're not fine and there's something bothering you, speak on it. Just because here's the thing: if you don't tell a person what's bothering you, how are they going to know? People can't read your mind, okay? And keeping things to yourself, if someone's doing something you don't like and you keep it to yourself, they'll just keep doing it because they may not realize that it's bothering you, okay? Terry Hinn said, I have no problem expressing myself, okay? Exactly. So just don't say you're fine unless you absolutely are. It's your fault. That's the seventh thing. So pointing fingers at your partner in the midst of a disagreement isn't just a cop-out, it's a relationship wrecking ball, okay? Don't put all the blame on one person. That's what I said. Take accountability for yourself as well, for the part that you played in it. Okay, remember, it takes two to tango. Okay, it's like slapping a band-aid on a sinking ship. All right, please pay attention. Now, instead of playing the blame game, let's just look in the mirror, self-reflect, okay, and own up to our part in the equation. And like I told you before, sometimes you have to take a long, hard look at yourself. And there may be some things about yourself that you don't realize. And so when someone's on the outside looking in, they can tell you these things. Usually it can be your partner. And when they tell you these things, you may disagree with them because you may not feel that you do or say certain things. But that's why you need to self-reflect. Okay, after all, we can't control our partner's actions, but we sure can control our own responses and our attitudes about the way we react to certain things that are said or done. Okay, so don't take the accusatory approach. Just embrace a more collaborative approach. Like, okay, we both played a part in this. Okay, here's where I think you went wrong, and here's where I think I went wrong. I could have done this differently or whatever. That's taking accountability. And another thing is, the eighth thing is, and this is a big one for me, you're overreacting. Now, I hate when somebody tells me that. First of all, you cannot tell someone else how to react to certain things. Everyone views things and reacts differently given different circumstances and situations. Okay? Because remember, perception is reality. So I don't think it's a good thing to tell people they're overreacting. At the end of the day, maybe to you they're doing the most or they're overreacting, but to them that's just the way they feel about the situation. Okay, so telling your partner that they're overreacting dismisses their feelings and their experiences. Everyone has a right to their emotions, and what may seem insignificant to you could be a big deal to your partner. Okay, and so at the end of the day, it just depends on how important you view something as opposed to how important it is to them. So instead of accusing them of overreacting, try saying something like, I can see this is really upsetting you. So let's talk about it. Okay? Isn't that better? So this at least shows that you're acknowledging their feelings and that you're open to understanding their perspective and that you want to, in fact, resolve the issue. Okay? But some people, they're just going to say, oh, you're just doing too much. Oh, you're overreacting. I don't want to talk about it. All of those things are not going to get you anywhere. Those are not going to get you anywhere. You need solutions, not excuses. Juju B said, lesson for the day is self-reflection. Absolutely, beloved, okay? Timber Dan said, that's a good way to put it. Make a collaborative approach. Take some pressure off of me while also being accountable. Exactly. Because, like I said, it takes two to tango. Never is one person completely to blame, okay? And don't say whatever, all right? Whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I used to say this all the time because this is dismissive and it can be hurtful to the person. Like, you don't care what they have to say, okay? I used to say that to my boyfriend, oh, whatever. And he would hate when I would say that. He would say, don't stop saying whatever, okay? Because that sounds like you don't care. Oh, it's whatever. Okay, so you have to catch yourself because, like I said, this can be a hurtful phrase. Okay, it communicates to your partner that you're disinterested or unresponsive to their feelings or thoughts. It shuts down communication and doesn't contribute to resolve the issue at hand. And consistent with beliefs in the significance, or consistent with your beliefs in the significance of authentic communication and empathy, responding by simply saying whatever is detrimental to healthy relationship dynamics. It's like very dismissive. And one thing about it is I don't like somebody being dismissive of my feelings or acting like I'm just, I'm just doing too much. Like, oh, you're just overreacting. Like I said, those are two big things with me. Okay, just two big things with me. So be consistent with your belief in the significance of the relationship. And when you do that, you'll be able to show empathy and give a better understanding of where your partner is coming from without being dismissive or just getting so quickly annoyed with what they may be saying to you at the time. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And so basically, when you say whatever, aren't you in fact just simply brushing them off? Okay? Just brushing them off like they were just yesterday's news, basically. And we don't want to be dismissive to people that we truly care about. Okay, so with that all being said, the power of words in relationship. Now, the power of words in relationships is profound. They have the capacity to heal or harm, to bring us closer, or to push us apart. Now, the phrases we choose to use during heated arguments can significantly influence the trajectory of our relationships. That's why we should choose our words carefully. Don't just blurt things out of anger. Don't just say something so abruptly without thinking before you speak. Okay? Because it's important to remember that we're all human. We all make mistakes. Okay? We all make mistakes, and we don't want to be mean and say hateful, hurtful things to the people that we love. And think about it like this. When you're at work, now I'm sure we have all been at work at a job where we had a boss who likely got on our nerves, right? Because I know I have. Courtney J said, I never thought about it like that, okay? I'm sure we've all been at a job and we've had a boss that got on our nerves, and they might have said things that we didn't like or disagreed with or whatever. But we didn't talk to them crazy because we knew that if we talked to them crazy, we're going to get fired. So we would hold it and we talked to them in a sensible manner. But the funny thing is, we will say the most hurtful things to the people that we love the most. But we'll watch ourselves when talking to other people, like your boss at work. So if you can reserve your emotions, if you can hold your emotions and speak intellectually and respectfully to your boss at work, you should likewise be able to do the same with your partner. Okay? Don't they deserve the same amount of respect? Wouldn't you say? So the key is to learn from these moments, apologize when necessary, and strive to do better the next time. Okay? We must remember that every challenge we face in our relationships is an opportunity for growth. Okay, so let's use our words to foster that growth rather than to hinder it. Okay, and it's a journey that we all should be on to do better, to self-evolve, to rise into a higher state of consciousness. That's what we all should be doing, to make sure that we're being empathetic with people that we care about, because we want them to be empathetic towards us when the time is necessary. We don't want to hit below the belt and say mean, hateful things that lead them to resent us later. Because sometimes when you talk crazy to people and you apologize, okay, they'll take your apology, but that stays in the back of their mind. And then the next time you do it again, that stays in the back of their mind. And then after a while, they're going to get fed up with it. Okay, and they're going to be sick of it. And they're not going to want to deal with you. So it's very careful to choose your words wisely. All right? Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions? Beloved ads. I have to cool off before I discuss things. It may take a day or 7 days. There's nothing wrong with that. If you feel like you need to cool off first, that's a good thing, because that way you're not just saying things out of anger. And here's the thing. When we speak abruptly out of anger, we're usually not even being rational or logical. Okay? We're not even being logical most of the times when you speak out of anger, because at that point, you're allowing your emotions to take the wheel. When your emotions take control, and rather, if you allow your emotions to lead the way, rather than your critical thinking or your logical thinking, that's always a recipe for disaster. That's when you start saying all kind of crazy stuff, being accusatory, not taking accountability. All of those things happen. Because when we're really mad, are we really thinking clearly? Of course not. Of course not. So that's fine if it takes you a few days, beloved. That's why some people give people the silent treatment, because they'd rather not say anything than to just fly off the handle and say something so detrimental. So that's fine. Whatever you need to do to foster a loving, caring relationship with good communication, and without being, someone that hits below the belts and just keeps up or makes the situation escalate, that's good as far as I'm concerned. Okay. And so with that all being said, all hell no said, I'm good. I'm getting a dog too, or a cat. They just want scratches and food. Okay. Juju said, I need that, queen. Okay, beloved. Well, I'm glad it helps. Okay, so with that all been said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. Now, we're going to be on here again tomorrow. at about the same time, at about 6 o'clock, between 6 and 6:30. So look for your notifications. Okay. And then on Friday, we'll have the trivia. Okay. We will have the trivia. Laverne said, I could be in jail right now, hanging back. Think. Yeah, absolutely. And I love you, right, Black Juju. Absolutely. And see, that's the thing. Do you know how many people are in the penitentiary because they couldn't control their emotions? They let their emotions get the best of them. Okay, you have to learn to rise above your emotions, because only when you do that do you resonate in clear thinking. When you're angry, you can be angry. We all get upset sometimes, but you have to be able to rise into a higher level of thinking, and so that you don't allow your anger to dictate your actions, because that always can be bad. Okay. So with that all being said, Miss Peaches says, I'm in a relationship for 20 years, 2 kids. We've had our ups and downs, believe me. Okay, absolutely. Well, congratulations on a 20-year relationship. All right. Courtney J said, thank you, Queen. This is much needed. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so listen, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Don't forget to tune in on the main channel in the morning for your morning wake-up call. All right, everyone enjoy the rest of this night. Missions Vision said, when I'm at work, I'm surrounded by passive-aggressive coworkers, so I'll ignore and speak when I want to, because they're immature and lack professionalism. Honey, I don't blame you for that, beloved. I would do the same thing. I would just be cordial with them. And see, that's the thing that I was saying about most coworkers, when I talked about this on yesterday. Yeah, for the most part, coworkers, that's how we should just be with them. Deal with them on a professional level. You know how they say don't mix business with pleasure? In some instances, that could be a recipe for disaster. Now, there was one person that left me a comment saying they met their husband. He was initially a coworker, and they've been married for years, like 20 plus years. Well, that's good. That's wonderful when those things happen. But most of your coworkers, and I'm not saying across the board, but most of our coworkers are just nosy busybodies who want to be in your business, and they don't mind stabbing you in the back, or repeating something you said, or gossiping about your business all over the office. So that's why you have to use discernment and speak to people. Some people in a certain way, just keep it cordial and keep it cute with some people. Okay. So with that all been said, everyone enjoy the rest of this evening, and I hope to see y'all in the chat in the morning on the main channel. All right. So each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.